Yesu Kristo ni mimi.
Ninaamini kabisa huyu ni Yesu, anaponya na anatenda.
Amina.
Usifiwe Yesu.
Amina.
Mtukuze Yesu milele.
Unajua saa zingine wachungaji tunaogopanga kusema ukweli kuhusu sadaka, but I came here to tell you the truth about sadaka.
Anajipigana nacho mkijua na kitawaramba.
Asante, endeni mkule nyama. Asante, you are good to me and God bless you.
And because God gave as an example, we are going to give.
Me, I hate drama. I swear before God.
What happens when the house of prayer turns into a house of profit? When the sacred pulpit echoes boardroom jargon and the shepherd dons the suit of a CEO? For generations, churches in Kenya stood as beacons of hope, humble, compassionate, deeply rooted in community. But in today's Kenya, some churches sparkle not with stained glass, but with billion-shilling budgets and sprawling enterprises. Is this evolution or deviation? Join us on a journey through sanctuaries now doubled as corporations, where faith meets finance and devotion dances with enterprise. This is not just a story about religion, it's a mirror reflecting the soul of a nation in transition. For a long time, churches in Kenya have long served as pillars of hope, offering spiritual sustenance, moral guidance, and community support. Rooted in humility and service, these religious institutions used to function modestly, keeping them afloat from their small offerings and tithes, with unassuming clergy living among the congregants. Nevertheless, in the last 2 decades, many churches in Kenya have experienced radical changes. Nowadays, especially in urban areas, some churches are more corporate entities than spiritual sanctuaries. They're venturing into the media, education, hospitality, and real estate has blurred the line between sacred mission and commercial ambition. In rural and early post-independence Kenya, churches were primarily worship places of charity and community development centers. They established schools and health clinics, ran orphanages, and helped the poor and the sick through charity work.
Our bishops, the president has asked me to give special thanks to the Catholic Church for your contribution to the service of the people of Kenya, more so in our health sector.
Clergy members were considered spiritual shepherds and were often community members, the elders who stressed modesty, sacrifice, and service to others. Funding for such churches relied on modest tithes, seasonal harvest offerings, and small donations. They typically operated transparently, guided by a strong sense of communal responsibility, which defined their character. In various respects, the church was one institution trusted by the public, particularly during a crisis. The modern religious scene in Kenya has a different story. In particular, churches in cities like Nairobi, Kisumu, and Mombasa have become sprawling institutions with billion-shilling budgets and different business interests. One of the best examples is the Christ is the Answer Ministries, CITAM, a Pentecostal church that has transformed into a corporate-style church, drawing both praise and criticism. CITAM collected tithes and offerings amounting to 1.57 billion Kenyan shillings in 2021. Its total income for 2022 increased to 2.89 billion Kenyan shillings compared to 2.3 billion Kenyan shillings in 2021. This demonstrates its religious pull and business sense. Away from the offering basket, the church has many businesses that it owns and operates. Its media wing, Hope Media, which offers religious programming on radio, Hope FM, and television, Hope TV, to thousands of homes. The church also owns educational institutions such as CETAM schools and Pan-Africa Christian PAC University, providing undergraduate and postgraduate courses. In addition, its forays into hospitality, like CETAM Kadota Resort, rounds up the picture of a faith-based organization that operates a complete business empire. This direction has been emerging because of several factors. The growing prominence of the prosperity gospel, which links financial success with spiritual faithfulness, has played a significant role. Many preachers who offer miraculous wealth and healing in return for generous offerings have attracted large followings and a new culture whereby wealth is seen as a sign of divine blessings. There is also pressure on the economy. Due to rising operational costs and increased competition for congregants, churches have diversified their sources of income to survive financially. Media outlet acquisition can help them get larger audiences, while education and hospitality services guarantee revenues. In addition, religious institutions in Kenya have been given a significant level of autonomy by the regulatory environment. Churches have little government scrutiny when establishing and conducting businesses on par with secular organizations. Although it has led to quick growth, it has also opened the door to potential abuse. The business-like structure of the present churches has posed ethical and theological questions. Although the financial growth of churches such as CETAM has enabled the construction of modern infrastructure, funded scholarships, and employed thousands of people, critics say the church is being derailed from its spiritual journey in the quest for profit. It is also complicated in terms of the social implications. Most contemporary churches have VIP seats for top givers, special events for big donors, and pay-to-attend prophetic conferences. Such practices create class divisions in spaces meant to embody equality in religious settings. Even worse are the cases where the realization of commercialization ventures into exploitation. In one tragic incident, Paul Mackenzie, the leader of the Good News International Church in Kilifi, is accused of having persuaded the followers of his church to fast unto death to meet Jesus. Over 400 deaths were recorded, marking one of the most shocking incidents of religious extremism in Kenya. The incident exposed the threats of unchecked spiritual authority and emphasized the need for monitoring. Following such abuses, there have been increasing calls to regulate religious institutions. The country's government set up a task force to investigate legal loopholes that permit rogue churches to take advantage of their believers. Some lawmakers and civil organizations call for stricter laws to audit church finances, license religious leaders, and control the activities in the churches. However, not everyone agrees with such an orientation. Many church leaders believe that government intervention in religious affairs violates the constitutionally guaranteed freedom of worship. President William Ruto, a devout Christian, said that the state should not regulate churches but encourage spiritual leaders to practice self-regulation. Certain denominations, such as the Anglican Church of Kenya, have supported regulation to tame cultists, but the evangelical networks persist in opposing external control. Such a standoff has made it hard to enforce one policy, even as there is a growing concern about the role of money in Kenyan spirituality. As Kenya's religious landscape continues to change, one question remains about how to balance religion and financial sustainability. Undoubtedly, churches play an indispensable role in education, healthcare, and social provisions. However, they need not forget to keep their roots in spiritual leadership, compassion, and moral leadership.
Amka. Amka na makofia yako ya takataka. Toka hapa, enda nyuma huko.
Transparency and accountability are essential. The churches that run businesses should also be treated in the same manner as other corporate entities. Auditing regularly, any clear distinction between the spiritual and the financial, and internal checks will help maintain public trust. Congregants also need to be more discerning. Faith should not blind followers regarding manipulation or abuse. A well-informed and involved public can be a hugely important accountability tool for religious institutions without undermining the sanctity of worship. The changes in Kenyan churches, from lowly places of worship to multi-million shilling enterprises, reflect broader societal changes. Although these changes provide room for further growth and innovation, they threaten the fundamental values that used to characterize religious life in Kenya. With the expansion of the churches into boardrooms, media houses, and the real estate market, the question still lingers. Can they continue to serve as moral beacons, or will the business of religion overshadow their divine mission? Only time and accountability will tell.